Hello friends, welcome to my channel. Welcome if you're new here. Today we are going to be doing something new to my channel and something that's been requested. So I thought let's do some holiday baking. Let's get some cookies going, some Christmas cookies. So I'm going to get some ingredients gathered around here and then I'll let you know what we're going to be baking. All right, so I think I have all the ingredients out. I have obviously flour, sugar, plenty of those. I have 2 eggs. I have some molasses here, vanilla, salt, baking soda, some spices, nutmeg, cloves, ginger, cinnamon, an orange, and obviously some butter. So can you guess what we're making? Have you guessed yet? Okay, the first one we are going to be doing, we're just going to be mixing up the dough. And I will say I also already, let me pull this out. All right, so I have some cream cheese. It's already been in the freezer. I've made this before for actually some other cookies. So we are making, the first cookie dough that we're making is gingerbread cheesecake cookies. So I've never made these before, but they remind me of my pumpkin cheesecake cookies, which I absolutely love. And so I thought, you know what? This is a great Christmas edition. So that's what it looks like, glares and all. There you go. And so, like I said, this is a new recipe. I will, if it's good, I'll link it down below. But yeah, let's get going. We're going to mix up, obviously, like I said, I had the cream cheese already mixed up. So I'm gonna put that back in my freezer because it's easier to work with this when it's frozen. And then I'm going to mix up the dough for the actual gingerbread cookie part. And then I gotta put that in the refrigerator and then we'll mix up our other dough. So let's get to mixing. Okay. Gotta make sure my little microphone's sticking up. You know what? I didn't iron this for you guys. I'm sorry. I think you'll be able to deal with it though. I just love the colors of this apron and I just don't wear it that much. I should. I don't know why I don't. Obviously I wore it some. I see a little stain there. Okay, let's get to mixing. 3/4 of a cup. Phew, this butter is pretty dang soft. Just cutting that with my spatula. I keep my brown sugar in a Ziploc bag with a piece of bread in it. That's the best way I found for personally keeping it. Is it super aesthetic? No, but like I said, it keeps the best. Now this recipe did call for dark brown sugar and I was almost going to get some, oops, I need to have this hole bigger. I was almost going to get some, but I was looking at the dark brown sugar that was available at Walmart, which is where I was obviously, and it really wasn't hardly any darker than the light brown sugar that I had. And this is actually a Kroger dark brown sugar. And this one's even darker than the Walmart brand. So I was like, what's the point? It just has more molasses. If I need more molasses flavor, I guess I can add a little bit more of this stuff. And the recipe also did say, you know, if you don't have the dark brown, don't worry about it. It just helps intensify the flavor a little bit. So I'm not gonna worry about it. And then I'm going to zest an orange. It says, how much am I supposed to zest this? Is it like 2 tablespoons? 2 teaspoons. I hate zesting things, although I did get this zester, this new one, while we were on our trip. Our old one was really bad shape. Like it was cracking and everything like that. So this one seems to be working a lot better. For that, I am thankful because the other one was a pain to use. It just didn't cut my oranges very well. And this one seems to be doing the trick. The recipe also does technically call for lemon, but I'm more likely to, I just felt like an orange was gonna be better. I wanted an orange flavor. I thought that was going to mix better with it. And if I have enough oranges, I might use it for the pound cake later if I do one of those. Fresh citrus always elevates a dish, I've heard. All right, I peeled that orange and ate a piece of it, and let me tell you, that was not a sweet orange. So hopefully the others are better. But have this, I'm going to mix this up. Probably mix for like 3, maybe 4 minutes. Just scraping the sides down a little bit. All right, you can see how it lightened some in color. So now we're going to add 1 egg. Let me put this down just a little bit so I can get in here a little bit easier. So we got the egg. Phew, this molasses smells rich. Okay, we're getting a 1/3 cup of that. I've never baked with molasses. Like I said, I've never made these cookies. I've never made any kind of molasses cookie. It was just not something I grew up with. But my uncle's supposed to be well known for his molasses cookies. Third cup of molasses going in. All right, I just licked that spatula before, the molasses spatula before putting it in the sink. Oh my goodness, straight molasses. Have you ever had that? Oh, I don't recommend, but you know, it might be a good learning experience too. So let's get to mixing again. I think I have to add vanilla to this mixture. Yes, 2 teaspoons of vanilla. There's precisely 1 teaspoon, precisely 2. All right, now the last thing I have to add is the dry ingredients here. So it wanted me to mix them up in a separate bowl, the flour and the seasoning and the baking soda, but I don't like to do that. I don't like to waste dishes. And the recipe also recommends putting in half of the dry ingredients at a time. So I'm gonna do half the flour. It calls for 2 2/3 cup. I do my flour incorrectly too, so don't learn from me, but I just scoop a little bit and I shake it kind of level. And if it's still not level, I'll take the bag, the top of the bag, and just kind of slightly brush it off, level it off like you would if you had a knife. And that's good enough for me. I've never had any problems with it. So 1, and we're just gonna add the 2/3 part so I don't forget about that later. All right, there's the 2/3. I have 1 teaspoon of cinnamon. I get a lot of my seasonings bulk, and so I would love to switch actually all my spices out into different containers, but I just haven't done that for, you know, I just don't feel like buying the stuff yet. I'd rather spend my money in other areas. That's a whole spiel, I guess. And I also just haven't taken the time to do it. Got a new thing of ginger and she don't want to open up for me. Okay, got her. Got her. And we do 2 teaspoons of cinnamon, or ground ginger, sorry. We already have the cinnamon in there. 1/4 a teaspoon nutmeg and 1/4 of the cloves as well. All right, have 3/4 of a teaspoon of baking soda, measured precisely. Just kidding. And I forgot to save my other teaspoon thing, my 4th teaspoon, but 4th teaspoon of salt. So, ooh, that's a little too much. All right, I'm gonna add the last cup of flour. Okay, I think it looks like it's pretty well incorporated. It's a very sticky dough, so we're gonna put this in the refrigerator, like I said. The instructions said to chill it for a while. It said a half hour. I think a couple hours might be better. Hopefully we can go straight through to baking the other cookies once I get them mixed. One of my favorite things about baking as a kid is licking the beaters. Who else did that, okay? Salmonella, I dare you, according to Kimberly Whisk. Okay, yeah, that tastes good. I think that's gonna pair really well with cheesecake. I mean, I thought so initially, which is why I wanted to do this recipe. But yeah, I think that's gonna go really good. You can definitely get a faint taste of the orange in there, and I've never had orange paired with like molasses cookies. I haven't had too many molasses cookies in my lifetime, to be truthfully honest. Like I said, it wasn't something that my mom did. My uncle apparently has a recipe that a lot of people like, but I don't remember being exposed to it much as a kid. Or if I was, I just didn't reach for it. Anyways, I like it with the orange. I definitely think that adds, it even gives it a little bit more of like a Christmas feel to it. Don't worry, I washed my hands too earlier. Oh, I should have gotten a bigger piece of saran wrap. Dang it. Let's try it this way. Okay, we'll make it work. We'll make it work. There we go. There was no problem there. Now, I could put this in the refrigerator or I could freeze this for a little bit. I think I'm gonna freeze this for a little bit and then hopefully I'll remember to switch it to the refrigerator before it gets too cold, too hard. Okay guys, I apologize. I thought I was recording earlier. We are starting a new cookie and it is while the other cookie dough is chilling, it is a thumbprint cookie. Now, if you're like me, I like a softer cookie. And while I've never made this recipe before, I looked specifically for a thumbprint cookie with an egg in it to kind of ensure the softness. This is what we're making. So like I said, I looked for a recipe with an egg in it, and so This one looks good, I guess. Like I said, I've never made these before. I'm not really sure what marks a great recipe or not for these, but it looks pretty simple. It does call for us to cream 1 cup of butter, 1 cup of sugar, and 1/2 teaspoon of baking powder, which I found kind of odd. Excuse me for interrupting. The oven's up to temp, by the way, which is 325. So I have my oven preheated. But I have this set up. We're going to start mixing it now. And there's only a few other ingredients then in this. All right, creaming butter and sugar is one of the things I'm seriously most impatient about. We're gonna add 1 egg here. Now it calls for 2 teaspoons of vanilla. I'm gonna try to do about 1.5 because I wanna add a little bit of almond. I just think that's gonna be good. A little almond extract, but you definitely don't wanna go heavy-handed on this stuff. A little bit. I didn't even add a full 1/2 teaspoon of that. It's probably like 1/4, if even that. Is that gonna be enough vanilla? Maybe, let's go in with a little bit more vanilla. All right, I think that's pretty good. I am going to add just a little bit of salt because the recipe did call for salted butter and I didn't have that, so I'm just tossing in like 1/2 teaspoon. All right, and now let's add the flour. It calls for 2.5 cups of flour. Oh, there you go. Can you be a little more sloppy, Jody? All right, that's pretty good. All right, there's the other half. Okay, I did it again. I'm in a bad rut, but I've been making these 1-inch balls here and just been working on putting my thumb in them. I tasted this dough. It's not like that exciting of a dough. I didn't really expect it to be, but maybe a little bit some more pizzazz. So the star of the show is going to have to be the raspberry jam and maybe a little glaze on top. This recipe didn't call for a glaze, but I'm certainly going to be putting it in. So I'm just going to continue making these little balls with my thumb imprint in them. Let's put these in the oven. It says for 20 minutes. I'm going to do 10 minutes and I'm going to flip them because I'm doing 2 trays at once. I like to rotate them as I go. So 10 minutes for me, and rotate trays, and 10 minutes again. We'll see how these come out. All right, they've been in an extra 6 minutes. Oh, my jam's starting to overflow. Okay, well, I do think they are done this time. Especially the top ones have gotten a little more golden. So for the Pinterest post for this recipe, in the directions, it didn't say anything about chilling the dough, but if you look further up in where they have all like the jibber jabber about how they created the recipe, the family history, and all that stuff that no one really reads, it does say she recommends chilling the dough 30 minutes before putting it in the oven to help keep it from spreading. So, you know, I guess sometimes it pays to read a little bit more, but I'm sure they'll still be delicious. The extra time, they went in for extra like 5 minutes altogether, and I really do think that helped. The top sheet is a little more golden on the top, but it's good. We're gonna let them cool on the rack for a few minutes, and then we'll take them off. And I think I'll put a glaze on them later. I don't know if I said this, but this recipe didn't call for a glaze, but once they're cool, I think I'll whip up a little glaze for them. There is a little bit more dough too, by the way, so I'm gonna bake that off camera, and I'm chilling that now in the refrigerator, so we'll just see if that comes together a little bit better. So I made a little glaze just with a little powdered sugar, milk, and a little vanilla flavoring. And we're just going to drizzle that over these cookies. Okay, I'm gonna have just enough. Oh, that works out perfectly. Perfectly. Okay guys, so I made all these discs of the gingerbread dough, and I have two kind of smaller ones over here. You take two of these, put a ball of cream cheese in there and roll it together. That's what we're going to do. I've done this plenty of times for my pumpkin cheesecake snickerdoodle cookies. It's been a while since I've done those, and I didn't do any this year for the fall season. So I'm pretty familiar with this process, but it's just a very time-consuming process. Now, I've never specifically done this with the cream cheese frozen. This was something that was like newly brought to my attention. We'll see how it should go better, because before it's been a very difficult, messy process. So it's still gonna be messy though. I'm sure of that. There's no way of getting around that with these cookies, I feel like. I have a little teaspoon here, and I'm just kind of doing like a heaping teaspoon. All right, let's take this. We're gonna pinch the edges here. Once the edges are all kind of sealed together, I'm just going to roll it back into a ball shape. Lightly roll it, don't smush it. And then I don't have any coarse sugar to roll this in the top of it, but I just have regular granulated sugar. And that's really all there is to it. Just make sure you seal those edges so the cream cheese doesn't seep out, but it's a lot easier when the cream cheese is frozen. Oh my goodness, you know what I'm just reading? It says to put these in the freezer for an hour. Well, that's a bummer. I thought because my pumpkin ones I could just pop in. I wonder what happens if you just pop them in. The molasses might be a little bit tricky. Should I put them in the freezer like they say? To do or not to do? Boy, oh boy. All right, I put a plastic container here, and I'm just going to put these in my downstairs freezer because that is a lot more cold, and hopefully I won't have to wait the whole hour. I might take my dog on a walk because he's been aching to go. Oh, am I gonna need 2 containers? I'm gonna need 2 containers. Oh, okay. Well, I'll just get a small one for the next one. All right, as I said, I'm putting these downstairs. I'm going to do a few other things, and I will check back when it's time to bake them. It says bake 1 sheet of cookies at a time in the middle of the preheated oven. The cookies will bake for about 11 to 14 minutes or until the tops look set. I set my timer for 7 minutes, and I will pull them out and rotate them and check them again, closer to time. All right, I think these are done. Let me get my little spatula. I like to look at the bottoms as well as the top, but the top looks set to me. It's got like a lightly crinkly, let me show you. I don't know how well you can see it, but there's like a little bit of crinkle here on top, like that. That to me indicates that it's at the just right stage. So the other tray didn't have quite as much of that. It was on maybe just a couple cookies. So I'm leaving that one in just a little bit longer. Okay, we're pulling her out. Ooh, yeah, she's ready. See? Let me bring you closer. These ones are a lot more crinkly on top now. I'm gonna let these cool. I think we're going to be checking back then when it's time to take a taste test, okay? All right, guys, so I have a plate of cookies here that we made, and don't they look delicious? They look like they're gonna slide too, but don't they look delicious? So I have both cookies here. We're gonna do a little taste test. I got my tea, let me grab my tea. I have my little thermos of hot spice cinnamon tea from Harney & Sons, and so we're gonna do a little taste test. I grabbed one of the uglier ones, and I will say the cookies, the gingerbread cheesecake cookies that I did, the first batch that I pulled out, I think I actually should have left in the oven a little bit longer. I like the way the second batch set up a little bit better. Of course, I'll know more when I bite into them too. So, but here is the thumbprint one. They taste pretty good. Pretty much like I expected. They taste like a shortbread cookie then with the raspberry jam. So not bad. I thought they would be a little bit softer than they are, but I did grab one of them that too is like probably a little bit more well done than some of the others. But honestly, it's pretty good. All right, a little palate cleanser here. Moving on to the gingerbread cheesecake one. Like I said, this is done, I'm sure of it. It's just a little softer than I would like. Let me see if I can get the tear for you guys. Okay, we're gonna break into that. There we go. Well, some just fell on the counter. Yeah, the cookie dough itself is done. Oh, that's good. That's good. If you like cheesecake and you like gingerbread, it's good. I will say this cheesecake is still warm. That hasn't completely cooled, so it does kind of throw things off a little bit. I prefer it when it's room temperature or cold. But that's definitely a winner in my book. I think this one is actually my favorite of the two cookies. All right, so that is a wrap on today's video. I enjoyed baking these with you. I hope you enjoyed it as well. Like I said, these were new recipes to me, so I wasn't sure what I was going to be bringing you guys, but I will definitely leave the recipes linked down below. If you'd like to try them out yourself, I would definitely recommend it. And let me know what your favorite thing is to bake during the holidays. I'd love to hear it from you, and maybe share the recipe with us. That would be helpful. We always like to find new recipes to try. So until I see you again then in the next video, have a great day, friends. Bye. Oh, that's good.